Welcome to Meta Tripping, y'all. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to the fathers who were taken too soon and are watching over their children from the spirit world. XXXTentacion, Nipsey Hussle. It's unfortunate that there are so many, too many to name. Blessings to y'all in the spirit world and to your babies and your connection to your babies. To those of y'all still in the 3D simulation, that's fast moving up because this human resonance is moving up. Happy Father's Day to y'all. This is happening on a full moon in Sagittarius, and I figured I would do kind of a quick reading to look over the energies, even though I did the weekly usually, which gets posted on Mondays now. I'll reiterate just a little bit that today the energies were 7D timelines to 4D. So, well, 7D up leveling to 4D. And that is some of those issues that we've had to work through that were happening in March. Those things are coming to conclusions and still being worked out. The Piscean energy was, Mercury was in the Piscean energy, it was Mercury in Pisces, and it was retrograde. So what was held up back then, lessons that were not completed, some of those are coming to culmination now, and they're still working through it, understandings. The message from Spirit on how to deal with that: accept yourself. And interestingly, as you'll find out from next week's reading, because I've already gone over the energies coming up for next week with Spirit. Next week's theme is accept yourself. So it looks like we're already getting a little bit of that today. All right, y'all. The Quantum Self-Care card, just reiterating what's already in the weekly from last Monday, is I am worthy. So some worthiness issues can come up today. Some of you are experiencing a confirmation, and I think a lot of you, Spirit is saying a fair amount of you, are experiencing confirmations of your worthiness. So there can be those of you who have gone through issues of victimization where you needed to kind of be brought back into your heart alignment on a deep spiritual level, and on that level where you've dealt with the heaviest vulnerabilities. There can be healing that's coming through today because the 7D energy is going through kind of like a 4D lens, which is more heart chakra based. So it's a beautiful thing, y'all. Beautiful thing. Those of you who are still working through some of the lower end of the energies, because unfortunately those can still be present, but they're there to serve. Work with the affirmation. I always kind of push that because it's easy for us to forget these things. It's easy to jump onto a new spiritual practice or a new spiritual technology and ride with it for a week or two and forget. It's very easy to do that. But the more that you're reminded and the more you put it into action, it becomes habitual and you get into high vibrational habits. Now you can secure those higher timelines and those relationships that are in exchange of value, true value that's in heart alignment. All right, so I'm going to be pulling some tarot cards for the full moon. And the theme for the full moon itself, the Quantum Self-Care card for the full moon in Sagittarius itself, is be honest with yourself. It's the third card in the Sacred Seed suit. All right, and so as you're doing your work, being honest with yourself, especially for any areas that are still battling shadow, is really going to help you through these energies, these full moon energies. Full moon energies usually last 2 to 3 days, all right? And they can obviously be an energetic theme, for the next 2 weeks until we move into that new moon phase, and we do have the eclipse season coming, and there are some things that really try to hold on, some relationship, dysfunctional relationship patterns, dysfunctional habits, and how folks treat themselves that have really been clinging to try to kind of pull pull us down, pull y'all down. All right. So the move is to remain encouraged and to remind yourself to be encouraged, because all of the work that you do to seed and put energy into your higher timelines, it is in the astral. You have been building constructs that serve you. It's all about where you place your attention. It's all about when you face crossroads situations, which a lot of these shifts, that is what I have noticed, is crossroads situations where it's almost like you don't have all the information you need at that moment, and you're being made to face situations that keep coming at you and potentially even hope to wear you down, is, one way that you can look at it. What you want to do at that point is follow your heart and your guidance and your spiritual guidance. And Spirit is saying, always go with what you really want. And sometimes that's not so apparent. Sometimes the auras of others can be very compelling, and it can be difficult to discern, especially for empaths and INFJs and super sensitives. It can be difficult sometimes to discern what your feelings are and what the other person's, what's coming from you, what's coming from the other person. Sometimes you will have to rely on your gut reaction. Sometimes you'll feel an anger or a tension that's trying to communicate with you. But if you're too much in your head, or you're too locked into handling things in a certain kind of way, you may need that self-time to go in and actually unpack your tension and get to the truth of how you really feel and discern what you want to do about it for situations that you really want to get out of, especially those that have kept sucking you in, because we're moving towards higher timelines. And the word on the astro street is, as we move into the latter half of the year and we deal with, Saturn going direct again, we're going to want to be in a place where we're on higher timeline frequencies. Okay, Saturn is retrograde right now, so it's much more relaxed. But when those demands start coming in, you're going to want to have your strength bolstered. You're going to want to know who you are. You're going to want to be high vibing, and it's very important. So do the work now to get in touch with yourself so that you are in position to face your path moving forward and be in a good position on that path, to be in alignment with your Saturnian goals, which is, your career, your profession, your, how the framework of your life is built. All right. And this is from deep psyche stuff. You want to be as secure as possible. So doing the work now is important. Getting your projects underway, your high vibrational projects. You want to start a business, or if you've been working to start a business so that you can get out of a dead-end job, keep putting your power towards that. Make it happen. Every step gets you closer. All right. So the energies for today, we have in the air placement and the mental placement, 9 of Staff. So there is a lot of guarded energy, it's a little bit, it's low-key paranoid, a little bit intense, and it's really just because a lot of us are tired of fighting, but there's an impetus that's coming up. There's a sense, Spirit is saying, that the guard needs to be up. And Spirit is confirming that it does, but you can relax a little. You can focus on those things that make you happy. So those of you who are still kind of dealing with the shadow energies that are coming up, yes, you can have your guard up, but, do your best to avoid getting locked into a state of low-key paranoia. Avoid getting into a state of anticipating the worst. When you feel the vibes, you feel like something ain't right astrally, there's some vibes around you that aren't correct, you're probably right. There could be some low-frequency spirits around you. There could be some low-frequency intentions that have been cast your way. Keep your subtle body as secure as you possibly can, but keep focusing on what makes you happy. So it's learn to deal with the balance of being in a place of internal security, but also being in heart alignment, okay? Especially with the 7D energies that can bring up issues of, victimization and those sorts of things. And there may be situations that you cannot give emotional access to because it's not healthy for you, because the people involved are not healthy. So you want to go into more of a crown chakra vibration and be a little more detached, a little more Aquarian, where what you're connecting with others it's coming from a place of like just humanitarianism or, philanthropy. And then you can go home, and then you can deal with those that you are intimately involved with on an emotional level who are good for you. All right. Is there anything else? And Spirit is also letting you know that you're being watched out for. All right. In your emotional placement, you have the 10 of Cups. Bridges are being formed, Spirit is saying, between true soulmates. Lifelong friends, friendship bonds. Interrupters of these connections are falling away because they're tired of fighting. So this is a very good thing. The energy that I'm picking up around this card myself is that you can trust the good that's available to you. So it goes back to what started out this particular, in this spread, the air placement. We move on to, this is the direction of manifestation. It's kind of a manifestation type spread. Shows you how energy flows and circulates from mind through emotion, through the fire of spirit into physical manifestation. So with this card being here, it's learning how to be aware of opposition energies, but at the same time, be able to look away from them. And Spirit's confirming that's correct. It's like being able to look away from that to what is actually trying to get your attention from Spirit, from true soul bonds, and kind of call you away from like the danger zone of the crossroads where between old patterns and new patterns. And that can be scary right now. But the 10 of Cups card, the really high vibrating positive energy that's coming from this is that there's a lot of assistance, a lot of gentleness with your spirit guardians, with your loved ones. It's okay, to like release your toxicities. It's okay to cry. It's okay to gather yourself, to take the time you need to gather yourself. And reset your course the way that you need to reset your course. Is there any other advice from Spirit? Spirit is saying things will be better in the coming week. There's a lot of spiritual assistance available. And some of the older readings were saying that in June there's going to be a lot of spiritual assistance available. So you want to open to that. If you want to access it, you got to open to it so that Spirit can come into your life and help to heal some of these situations, because lower vibrational spirit energy and low vibrational energy certainly ain't asking your permission. You know what I'm saying? And does what it does regardless. It'll create its havoc without worrying about how it affects you. So there is aid for that comes from the spirit world, and Spirit can see way more than we can just in a physical human encasement. I'm being directed to move on to the spirit card. It's the Ace of Staffs. There's a renewed sense of self going on in these full moon energies. A willingness to strike out with strength towards what you really want, and there's power behind it. So we've been here before with this energy, but it's more compounded. It's stronger. Is there any advice from Spirit? Okay, so Spirit's saying don't push too hard. Things are going to open to you now. All you need is a self-belief. Deep. All right, this is beautiful, and it's probably why we've had all these shifts. Spirit is saying you're coming into a self-belief that can't be shaken. The process is unfolding. So you don't have to push too hard. All right? So you want to make sure your fire energies are balanced. You don't have to walk away from conflict. But you do have to consider what's worth your energy where conflicts are concerned. Some things just aren't, Spirit is saying. And move on to the Earth placement card, which is the Knight of Staffs, aka Wands. The energy I'm getting around this, people are looking for greener pastures. There's fire energy behind it because the staffs are fire, and the Knight is on the move and usually on a mission. In this card, this is the Miss Cleo Power deck. The Knight is about to move past these 3 pyramids, and 3 is a number of expansion. It's also aligned with Jupiter, which rules Sagittarius, which is what the sign our full moon is in. So the energy here is there's more faith and confidence in self to see what is out there for you. Is there any advice from Spirit? Make lists. Keep your mind balanced. And don't rush ahead without thinking. But don't get caught up in your thoughts too deeply. Heart alignment will help you with all of this. So by Wednesday, shadow energy should be clearing up. So you don't want to race too far ahead just to get away from the shadow energies. Well, what is the best way to work with the shadow energies? Rest. Plot your course. Like, make those lists. Okay. Okay, so Spirit is saying, like, allow the picture to become clear, to, like, allow the lens to come into focus. So you know what you're looking at. And how you're going to be proceeding now. Because we've moved up, Spirit is saying, about like 5 timelines. And you really don't have to go back down. The goal is to stay up. So stay upward in vibration by keeping, like, your mind balanced, your head balanced. Giving your body what it needs, resting. Let your energies catch up. With the ascension waves. It's going to balance out. Okay? You also have the 7 of Staffs reversed, and that's at the center. This is the center card, like the culmination card. And Spirit is just saying, have more faith in yourselves. For some of you, things look bleak right now. For others of you, things look too good. Find a balance in between those two states of perception. Things are going to be much more clear moving forward. And the overall card for the reading is the Lovers. And usually with the Lovers card, this is a card of harmonization and making the right choices. And is there any advice from Spirit coming with this card? Soulmates are coming together now. And it's not going to be so easy to come between that anymore. Learn to trust yourselves, and your team will arrive, like your soul family, your soul tribe. So Spirit's saying, like, basically, and those of like mind, Spirit is adding. You're moving into a position where people are going to understand you because you'll have the right associations around you. For some of you, you just need a little more patience. For others of you, the energy needs to balance out before you can see clearly. So some of you got a jolt of energy. I mean, we did have the solar flares that took place last week, which definitely prompted shift energies. You know what happens with that. Whatever needs to come up and be purged or released tends to happen. The same, I've used this analogy before, like if you have a dish in the sink and you just have it soaking for a minute, like whatever's at the bottom of that dish is going to rise to the top. Same thing with these shifts. It's going to take what's embedded and what's been suppressed and oppressed, and it's going to bring it up so you can look at it and clear it out. And then when it comes up, it can be very confusing. It can somewhat suck you into a feeling of being in an old timeline, which can be very disorienting, because it's like, yo, like, I thought I was past this. How many times is this situation going to come up? And this is what we've been dealing with the shifts, these recurring situations. But it's because it hasn't all been cleared out yet. All right, so there's going to be a lot more help moving forward. Spirit is confirming you're coming into more of a wholeness of being. Mm-hmm. And you're going to learn how to work with that. Mm-hmm. And you'll be able to handle any trials, I guess, that come up with more strength. Mm-hmm. And Spirit's going to be closer to the planet like than ever before. There will be a lot of Spirit intervention. Mm-hmm. Spirit is saying a lot more people are going to be seeing us, seeing Spirit, that is. Mm-hmm. Learning to talk to us, Spirit is saying. So learning to talk to Spirit. And learning to understand that this world is not what they thought. Is there anything else? Spirit is saying, get ready to have your minds blown. Spirit is saying it's going to be a good time, but it's going to be confusing for a fair amount of you. I mean, Neptune is going into retrograde next Saturday, y'all, so none of this is a surprise. What's coming through Spirit. Spirit's saying some of you are going to be talking to relatives who have passed on. Mm-hmm. Friends who passed on. Mm-hmm. Spirit's also saying that dream communication is going to be deep. Mm-hmm. And Spirit's suggesting we do a video on Neptune RX. And Spirit says, and they'll tell us more. They'll tell us more. So Spirit is suggesting that we conclude the reading with the thought that your true path is bliss. Follow what makes you feel happy. You can't go wrong with it. It leads to your higher timelines. Keep that in mind as you're tested. Mm-hmm. Don't look at any falterings as failures. Mm-hmm. You're succeeding even if it doesn't look like it. Mm-hmm. And your success will be more and more apparent moving forward. Mm-hmm. Get a lot of sleep. Mm-hmm. And Spirit is saying lists are going to be your friend for the next 2 months, at least. Write down what you want to remember. Because the shift energies are going to be different, Spirit is saying. Mm-hmm. They won't be as harsh as they've been. Okay. The energy, I guess, is going to be more swimming. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have to rely on your gut. Mm-hmm. What you know. Mm-hmm. And feedback from your loved ones, like your true connections. But you're going to be watched over. Keep your head held high. All right. Thank you for tuning in. And peace and blessings on your ascension journey. I should have the reading up tomorrow for the week of June 17th. If you want to check back in. All right, y'all. Peace.